Okay, the thing I sent you earlier. Oh, never mind. That works. Okay.
Do you have a Twitter handle for this newsletter?
TechSpeak Digest.
I forget you are in actually Malta still.
I am in Malta.
What
There
is
was
it?
an owl on the bus. It
I
was
saw
the
it!
single
We're all-
greatest thing I've ever seen.
We are so jealous. My girlfriend and I actually looked into what it takes to have pet owls.
Yeah.
It basically means you have to have an owl hatchery, or like you have to be like a pro outdoors person with owl experience stuff. So yeah, but we're not for pets here.
Yeah, it's really hard. The owls are apparently very challenging to take care of.
Yeah, there's a Vine channel of a Japanese family that has 2 owls. That's hours of fun.
2 owls and no holders.
It's hours of fun.
Very punny.
Very sorry. Not.
Tiffany, you look really intense.
What?
You look really intense.
I'm trying to type. That's why. I'm trying to get your names both right here.
Oh, did we do the lower third actually? Let me see.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So someone's like, has this started? I only see a message. You should be able to see us. We're live.
Okay.
We have.
Okay. Oh, I didn't tweet the link. I'm so sorry.
So okay, just retweet the one from.
Yeah.
You don't have to type much if you just retweet that. Because I actually mentioned both of you, so you should be able to find that link fairly.
Yeah, something's
easily.
wrong, and Twitter is dead, and I don't even know if I tweeted, and everything is broken right now.
No.
Okay.
You did not tweet.
Quit Twitter. Quit and discard. Discard.
Die. Sorry, we're live yet?
Yeah, we are live.
We
We've been
are
live
live.
for a bit.
We are live. I'm just trying to figure out how to answer this question. The thing
Do
about
we turn
Hangouts
on the-
now is you don't get chats.
Yeah.
So,
Okay, cool.
Okay. So
Blanca's
at least
here.
somebody
That's great.
reloaded in that
Yay!
one. Okay.
Okay, cool.
yeah, my Twitter whole thing is broken, so I can't tweet about it. I'm sorry. Maybe I'll check on my phone. All right.
Sorry, I'm
Sorry, you're?
ready now.
We're live, so.
We can go back to talking about owls until some more people join us.
Can we see how many people are here?
Yeah, I can.
18.
Okay.
I can, yeah.
All right. Can you hear us fine, by the way?
Yeah, and you guys look so pro.
Ah.
I know. I only have this big headset. That's all I have.
It looks good.
I don't have this giant mic. Whoa. I'm very impressed by the mic.
Are you actually using it?
Yeah. No, it's just
Okay.
props.
Yeah.
I thought it was just for decoration.
Yeah. Should we do the lower third thing as well?
The lower third.
Where it says
So I
Julia.
added the lower third. Yeah, it has my name and my handle.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, if you want, it's the toolbox. So if you go to the left-hand side, the toolbox is the first thing that should do it. No, not draw.
I'll be honest, I can't see that side of the screen very well because it's
lamp is.
It's
Right.
not a big deal.
and
I don't want to invite anyone.
I don't know
How do
what's
I-
going on.
How do I cancel
I don't
this?
know.
Computer's so
I don't
terrible.
know. Just escape. It didn't work.
So I'll hit that button.
Something is very strange. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it.
How do we
We'll introduce
turn
you.
off draw? Oh my lord.
I'll try. We can
Maybe you might want to illustrate some hints like that.
Just say cancel.
Oh yeah, that's the fun bit where let me not get into this. This is terrible.
Okay.
Thanks for everyone who's joining us. We're going to start in just a minute. We're giving people a little more time.
Lower third.
There we go. Okay.
Did I type my name right?
I can't see very well.
Me neither.
We have a lamp to light our faces,
Yeah.
and
That means
You
you're
guys
blind
are
now.
taking this seriously.
oh yeah,
I know.
yeah.
I got my Twitter handle right.
So much suspense. I can't see it until you click, like change or on or something. Like,
Save. What's going on? Save.
I can be black and white. This is awesome. I feel like I'm vintage now.
aha.
Yes.
Now I can see.
Yay! Okay, cool.
Yay.
And we can get rid of
Alright.
this funny draw thing. What are you trying to do?
I'm trying to get rid of the funny draw thing. How can I get out of
I have no idea. What's the click on the face?
on the face? This one?
Yeah. I didn't do anything.
Awesome. I'll trash it. I'll move it out of it.
I don't know.
Oh, terrible.
I think we
I
are
don't know.
fine.
We're fine. I don't know how to turn it off. I turned it on, but I can't turn it off. What's that thing?
That's the draw.
Hey! Yes.
All right. Yeah.
That was just a little bit of a usability demonstration.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Okay, so I think we're good here.
Yeah, going.
I feel like Kate is calling us from the past or something.
I know, isn't it
White.
awesome? Okay, everyone's had their last email reminder, so let's get going. Hello, everybody. This is me and Chuki from Technically Speaking, and this month we're bringing you Jan and Tiffany, who are the diversity or the speaker outreach committee. Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Speaker outreach committee for JSConf EU in Berlin. And they're super fabulous. I know because I was in Berlin and hanging out with both of them. So we're going to mostly take audience questions. So like put in your Q&A, but then start by telling you a little bit about JSConf EU and what they're trying to do first.
Okay, I guess I'll start. So I've been involved with JSConf EU for, this might be the third year?
Fourth.
Anyway, whatever, sometime. Since the year that I joined, we've been running an anonymous speaker selection process where our first pass at speaker selection has been anonymous, and we found that this has been really good at getting new people to come and speak at the conference, and it's been really well received by a lot of people. And so what Jan and I do as part of that is very targeted, specific speaker outreach.
Right. So you're probably all aware of that tech is not a very diverse place, and we're trying to fix this, and asking people to submit a talk because they have certain minority traits apply to them is not the best thing to do. So we're actually looking for what people are doing and say, hey, we appreciate your work. You should come to JSConf and speak about that stuff. But the only thing we can invite you to is to become part of the anonymous speaker selection, because we want to give them the what's the word I'm looking for?
Sense of fairness,
yeah,
that we're going to be unbiased.
Yeah,
during that process?
they need to know that we're unbiased and we're not using them as a token minority person.
We didn't come up with this idea ourselves. There was a blog post by a woman, Courtney, and her last name is Stanton, and she talked about inviting people to submit proposals and how that drastically increased the overall diversity line, like the
Of the lineup?
of the lineup, and so we decided to try that out, and it did really help us. So one of the things we do is more broad invitations and also direct invitations. Finding a list of people who we know of, we ask people for recommendations, and then we contact them and invite them to submit a proposal. And lots of them do.
Right. And then more generally, we're a JavaScript conference, but really anything web or tech related is fine as content. We're kind of priding ourselves with being edgy or doing cutting edge stuff, or we have a lot of firsts at JSConf and not a lot of reruns that have been run at other conferences. That also means that we tend to have a lot of new faces, so people aren't afraid of joining the ranks of a bunch of alumni that are really famous, and then they are speaking, and then they can't picture that, so they never submit. So we're trying to have a very low bar to entrance there.
One of the other goals of the conference is, because it's a community-run conference, we want to get content out there. So every talk is recorded and put online, and so one of the other things we're looking for is talks that have never been recorded before. Maybe they've been given before, but maybe not available online to see. Our YouTube channel is very popular.
That's awesome. Thanks. So people who've just joined us, we have Tiffany and Jan, and they've been talking a bit about JSConf EU. We want to take questions. Like, these things are always way more fun when we have lots of questions. So submit yours in the Q&A. For now, can each of you tell us which was your favorite talk last year?
You start.
The years kind of blend, so I'm going to start talking about some favorite past talks. They maybe weren't last year. One of the talks we had was a woman who was primarily a designer, and she talked about how once you start to consider design considerations for people with what was the term she used?
The autistic spectrum?
The autistic spectrum. Once you start to think about the considerations of those people, what you end up with is actually just a good design that benefits everyone. And so that was actually a really interesting talk. I quite like that one.
Yeah.
I think that might have been the previous year.
Yeah, it was the year before, but she spoke at WWDC, which is a big deal, last year. So we kind of paved the way for her career there, which is,
yeah.
Or at least we had a part in it. She's brilliant, so
yeah.
But we got her first, so that's
I'm trying
nice.
to think if there was some specific one last year. You go ahead if you have one.
Let's see. A very nerdy one that's very well received on YouTube as well is Philip Roberts' talk about the JavaScript event loop and how JavaScript executes. And it's very low-level topic, but he's got a visualization thing going on. And I've been doing JavaScript for now 15 years, and I learned a bunch of stuff. So and everybody can learn, the beginner and the pro. So this was just an outstanding talk.
Regarding that particular talk, so first of all, I thought that was really great. I think it's one of those things that people sort of intuitively understand when they are working with JavaScript, but they can't verbalize it. And I don't know how much he knew in that level of detail when he started. Does he write for browser? Does he write a browser? Yeah. So he really knew a lot about the in-depth stuff. Yeah. So yeah, we go everywhere from this, very detailed nerdy to sort of more broad thinking stuff.
And then a bunch of talks that are more culturally inclined. We had to talk about specifically diversity in technology and what people can do in open source and in events, what to do better. That was also very well received. The closing keynote last year was a critique of Silicon Valley and how everybody wants to be Silicon Valley and how that's not a good idea. So kind of big picture stuff on where we're going, what we're doing, and why we're doing it as an industry.
That sounds very Berlin. Why we're not Silicon Valley. Okay, great. We have a question from Blanca, and it is: are there any talks targeted for beginners? So I guess maybe what that means is, did you have any junior devs giving talks last year?
That's a good question.
Targeted for beginners. I think.
I have two answers. The one is, if you're not like the best people to give a talk are people who are not very good at the topic that they're talking about, because in the preparation for that topic they're going to be the expert in the room, and even though there's probably even more experts on the topic, or like people have been looking at this a little bit more, the person who's preparing for the talk is looking at it like from every angle. So becoming an expert in a topic is like you can get there really good by really fast by giving a talk.
Yeah, I can definitely say that too.
But then the question could also mean, is this a conference where you go and learn JavaScript or like basic topics? And I think for us it's less so, and it's a little bit intentional as well, because there's plenty of other events that we also support that are more beginner friendly. We are more on the pushing the industry, pushing the community forward with exposing them to new ideas, and like I said, like doing a lot of first things to get the discourse going, which again is the reason why we publish everything on YouTube later, so everybody can like benefit from what we're doing.
Something that Jan alluded to was that there's other events that happen around the same time as JSConf, including, for example, an event that's called Reject.js, which was named after the fact that we had so many fantastic talks that there was this overflow conference of people who'd been rejected. It's also a high-quality conference. It's a one-day, one-track event, and it happens earlier than ours in the week. And they have more, I wouldn't call them entry-level. I think I would call them a little bit more practical, where it's like applied, here's how you do this thing, here's how I did this thing, which is more approachable if you're still coming into the industry, coming into it.
And then Tiffany alluded to other events going on. We basically, we practically wrap JSConf in a full week of events. It used to be called JS Fest, where we invited the community to just do stuff over the weekend, including just meeting for dinner or going to a museum, but also have a web audio hack day or web platform summit or whatever people can think of. And then one of the things, I forget the name of the things, it's like a one day, like lock yourself in a room coding
coder retreat,
coding retreat, which is and yeah, there's a bunch of stuff there where it's definitely more beginner friendly.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. So next question from Catherine. We have, what software do you use for a blind proposal review? Something available to other confs, or is it custom built?
It is custom built. In the past, we just hid columns in an Excel document, and I really personally didn't like that approach. So we last year built an interface on top of Google Docs, where it would display one proposal at a time, and you would indicate, a ranking. But we couldn't figure out how to make the responses persist in the Google spreadsheet. So Jan jumped in and created a local storage solution where just all of your answers would just be in local storage, and then at the end you could do an export and copy and paste them in. So I think what would probably be a good idea is if we actually tidied this up and put this online and opened it up, and if anybody knows how to make it right to the document, I mean, that's a nice to have, I think. I think.
But yeah,
it's not as. I think it might even be already open, but
we haven't.
It's custom built.
Yeah, we haven't talked about it at all.
No.
But generally, it is. We're using Google Docs, using Google Forms for submission, and then take it from there.
Yeah, you submit to Google Docs, and then we just rank. Each one of us ranks in that, and then we do an average at the end. So it's custom built.
Cool. Okay, amazing. So next question from Jeremy. For someone who has never given a talk before, do you have any tips in the submission process for the request for proposal, especially from junior devs?
So first, our call for speakers is like a couple of miles long. It explains everything you need to know. So it already has all the ropes that you need to not make a mistake. And it is also enticing enough that you shouldn't find an excuse not to go from the baseline that we do is fly people in and pay for their hotel plus extra days before and after the conf, so they can get acclimatized and enjoy the city a bit. To like if you need childcare or like a medical person that comes with you, that travels with you, like take care of that. We show you sample submissions from previous years that we really liked and that got picked in the end.
Specifically, we also have this website, We Are All Awesome, which is spelled We Are All Awesome, aso.me. We Are All Awesome. On that, I have a specific article which is about writing a talk proposal. It's my personal opinion on what it takes to write a good talk proposal. So take a look at that. And as Jan mentioned, we haven't actually announced the call for this year, but when we do, not only do we list all the details of what you're going to get as a speaker, but also we link out to like here's how to write a good proposal. Like some really basic tips are the sort of main one is your pitch should pitch to the audience member, because most people just take that description and make it in the program. So they're trying to create a conference that's really compelling for their attendees, and you are helping to write promotional material for their conference. So that's just the audience. The other thing is, like, just as you would get someone to maybe review your resume or maybe review a blog post, get just someone to look over it. Make sure that they understand what you're going to talk about from just reading your proposal.
Actually, I have some ideas for this year that I want to bring up.
Yeah?
But before I get into this, something that we've offered before, because for beginners or for beginning speakers, it can be, or for people who think they could talk but they don't have a topic, we offer to chat with them, because we have, in our experience, like takes 10 minutes to maybe 30 minutes to talk with someone and to come up with 3 topics that they should give a talk about that they don't consider to be worth a topic. And I've been on the other side, so I can totally relate, but by now we're really good at spotting what could be a good talk, what fits the conference, and then we can guide them a little bit. So in the call for speakers phase, there will be like ways to contact us. One of the things that I want to introduce this year, which I stole from a conference called Eurocamp, which also happened in Berlin last year, is as soon as we have speakers, assign them buddies that are also speakers, and maybe we have a more advanced speaker as a buddy of the less advanced speaker, so they can play off each other, review the notes, or like the slides, and maybe
right. That doesn't get you picked. This is about.
Oh yeah,
this is the step before that is the proposal.
True, fair enough. Good.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry.
But that's cool. Thanks for mentioning it.
It's great how thoughtful you guys are about your speakers. I really like that.
Maybe as a prelude to that, so we've been doing this since 2009, so we have some experience now. It was a lot of trial and error in the early years, but I think we've got a good formula going now. Mm-hmm. And one of the mantras of the conference is that, because we all individually, all the 4 curators, go to a lot of conferences, the mantra is we just don't do the things that are terrible at other conferences. Sorry, other conferences. Right? I'm sure there's stuff that's not good at our conference as well, but like we try to avoid the things that are not so good at other conferences, and just by virtue of that, ours tends to be pretty good. And that includes taking care of speakers, because we, like Tiffany, also like speaks a lot and we have a lot of experience like being treated as a speaker, so we trying to accommodate all of that.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay, we have a question from Sebastian. And we're now out of questions, so people watching, write some questions. Are you looking to focus on JavaScript concepts, or are you also looking for hacks and demos of cool JS projects?
Yes.
The answer is yes.
Yeah, we do all of that. And we talk about, sort of exciting and cool and cutting edge stuff. Sometimes it's just a really cool application of something. If it's strictly a demo, like if it's strictly just like really bling demo, we also want to hear about it. For example, last year, someone gave a talk where he opened up the party and was essentially showing off his hardware hacks. So if you've got a really just fun toy that you built, trying out some new technologies, or you just have some fairly entertaining thing, and you think it works on a stage, definitely submit it. But both.
But yeah, but even if you don't think, like we had a bit of an art section once, so we may get back to that. So if you have anything that you want to show people, and like tell us, and we'll think about how it fits into the talk program or into the rest of the program of the evening. You may be ending up like opening a party. No big deal.
And if the question was about whether super dry, hardcore JS topics are also interesting, the answer is yes. For example, one of my favorite talks from a previous year was just someone explaining the number format and why nan is in fact a number.
Right. Yeah. More generally, we're looking for talks that explain the why less than the how, but sometimes the how is good as well. But if it's like the event loop thing or the numbers thing,
less instructional, more explanatory.
Yeah, it's like our baseline, or the measuring stick is like, could I learn this by reading a README or a blog post about how to get started with Ember, and like that is not good for our audience. But like we had one like that pitted Ember against Angular and whether to use which one and which circumstances, and comparing them, and that was really useful.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. We're out of questions.
No.
Ah.
We're just getting started.
Yeah.
So you guys are both like experienced speakers, right? You two both still respond to CFPs? Do you?
I'm trying to remember. And it makes it sound like no, doesn't it?
Yeah, that sounds like a no.
But I have been invited to submit a proposal, which is sort of the same thing, right? I personally don't feel like I have a whole lot of time, so I don't make a point of finding another spot to fill. I don't want to talk more than 3 times a year, really. So maybe locally at a meetup or whatever. But so I haven't really. But do you?
I think the last time I applied for a call for speakers and I wasn't picked, it was a year and a half ago, for a conference where I wanted to go to Vancouver, and I thought they could maybe fly me out. But yeah, similar to Tiffany, so I did a lot of speaking about my open source projects, and toured Europe and the US to do this. It's really, really exhausting, and I'm kind of I'm cutting down a lot, and like speaking 3 times a year sounds really good. So I'm keeping it low, but I do get frequent invitations to speak, which I'm also turning down. But I also don't want to sound like a douchebag.
But okay, so my question is really like, when you start preparing a new talk, whether it's responding to a CFP or it's responding to an invitation, like, what does your process for that look like?
It looks like talking. I talk to. If I have some sort of like theme, but I'm not really sure why anyone would care, I usually talk it over with people who, I talk it over with Franz, my boyfriend, or I'm sure that I've talked stuff over with you. I have other friends who are also JavaScript programmers, and I'm like, I have kind of this idea that I think might be interesting, and then they usually actually draw it out of me. They'll say like, well, why is what you want to say somehow different, or like, what do you find surprising? Like, I have some pretty good coaches, I guess.
Yeah, you're lucky.
Yeah, which not everyone has, which is why we're offering to. If you have sort of a nugget of something, maybe.
Where we can help.
Then we can help try, which I've also done. I've also had someone, specifically ask me, and we got together for coffee, and he had sort of a rough idea of what he wanted to say, and by the end of it, we had a rough outline for a talk, and then from that, he wrote a proposal.
Was he accepted?
He was accepted. I think he wasn't accepted for the. He was applying to 2 different ones, and he was accepted to one of them. Yeah.
Then maybe a little bit more low level, so that's more the conceptual side, how to get into to tease out a topic, Maybe the one thing I want to say to that is like sometimes, like depending on the topic, sometimes like I write down an essay style thing to get all my thoughts collected and in a logical way, and then I often publish this with the slides afterwards or as a blog post beforehand or afterwards. But then from there, like it helps me to like get my argumentation right, get everything like set up correctly, basically. And from there, or if I'm not doing that, like because it takes a lot of time sometimes, I'm going from a basically straight outline. Here's what I want to do. Here's the topics I want to go through, and then give that to talk to a wall, like in my room by myself, just so that I can see if it roughly works, and then I like fill out the outline with more ideas and rearrange it because I know, okay, saying this first and then that doesn't make any sense. I have to switch it around. So
does that mean you have the talk mostly sketched out before you even write a proposal, or is this based on the proposal?
Oh, so yeah, the funny thing with proposals is like in my experience, like the actual talk is so much later than when you think about the proposal that there's often a mismatch between what I propose, like, hey, I want to talk about this kind of thing, and then when I get through thinking about that thing, it's slightly different. So it doesn't 100% match the talk, but I think that's very normal.
Yeah, I usually go back to the proposal and think like, is this what I actually said I was going to talk about? And if it isn't, like, does it matter? And yeah.
And sometimes it's like, what was I thinking?
Yeah.
Proposing this because I ended up here. But
yeah.
But
that's fine as long as you're scheduled to speak. They have to take you.
Well, it happened to me before too. I think I just make it a part of my talk, like how the talk evolved.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I have this concept, and then when I put some more time into it, and it turns out to be this other thing, which is totally legitimate finding, right?
Right. Yeah. No. It's one of the things that could make the talk interesting. It's like, hey, you came for this, but this is actually that. So let's go there.
Yeah, I actually gave a talk like that, and just like the last 5 minutes, was the punchline. I said, haha, this is actually what you just heard. So, which is not what I presented as is, but then people are like, oh, okay, that's cool too. So it worked out.
I feel like my talks grow out of blog posts. Like I write about something, I actually get questions, and like that one's more popular, and I'm like, oh, this is something people want to know more about, and then I write more about it, and then I'm like, now I have these 5 disjunct blog posts. If I kind of rearrange them, then I could make one nice talk out of it.
But you're also a very prolific writer. So you write a lot and publish a lot. So for people who don't do that, and for whom writing doesn't come naturally, you don't have to blog before you can have a talk. Like.
So writing only comes naturally because I've been writing this much for like 7 years. So if you start right now, 7 years from now, you can also use the same code.
Exactly.
Yeah, well, sometimes I'll propose something that I want to learn, and then use it as a chance to learn.
Yeah.
So it's kind of interesting, like you said, right? Like. It's only after the talk is written that you know what it is going to be about, not the 6 months before, while you are like, hey, I want to teach you about Android text views, and then
the flip side of that we call conference-driven development. If somebody proposes a really outlandish thing, we want to see that, and then they have to do it.
Which happened. I saw someone who was still writing the thing that he was claiming it could exist the day before.
So but that's good fun usually because then we help create stuff.
And if you're super afraid of proposing such a thing and then having to talk about it, propose it for a meetup. Propose it for like a local meetup. Yeah. They're probably going to take whatever you offer. Just the nature of meetup, they happen so frequently, and use that as an opportunity to come up with even just a shorter version or something.
Yeah, sometimes I bring half talks to a meetup, so I know that I've promised a 15-minute talk. I'll bring a 30-minute version and then wait for people to ask me questions so that I have more material to fill in the last 20 minutes. And it's kind of more relevant anyway that way, right? It's not just people like things in my head. It's like other people are also interested in these specific ways. So
I have a talk that ends, and then I know what the first question is going to be, and then the slides, like after say thank you, and then I have a black slide, and then I have a slide, like I show the black slide, and then the questions come up, and then
And you didn't even plan the question. It's
No,
just,
I know
sure
what I know what the first question is, and then it says bonus slides, and then like a bunch of slides that explain the question. It's a really good thing to do them first. If you don't live in an area that has a local meetup scene, you can do something remote like we do. You can just record something on YouTube and just put it there.
Yeah.
And ping people on Twitter and show them, and maybe something happens. Or find the meetup that does remote talks. I've spoken in Glasgow without ever being to Glasgow using Google Hangouts. I gave a talk at the local JavaScript meetup there. And especially smaller meetups are always starved for content, so they basically have to take you. It's guaranteed speaking slots. Doesn't matter how terrible you are, and you're probably not terrible, so don't worry about it.
Yeah.
If you think you're terrible, you just need to go to a meetup. I was at a meetup recently, and this guy was presenting in sweatpants, and he started with this long rant about this technology that the previous speaker had spoken about, and I'm like, well, the bar is set low, really.
Yeah. I think that anybody who's worried that they're not any good probably takes care to be better than that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. Okay, so we have a question from Catherine, and it was, what were your first talks?
The very first talk I gave, outside of speeches in school. So I used to go to this meetup, and Jan was there, and he wanted me to get up and give a talk. And the very first talk I ever gave was at a design meetup, and it was HTML5 for Designers. The book had come out, and it's not a very long book, and I did a book review. I just gave my opinion on whether the book was worth reading, who I thought it was good to, who I thought would like it, and yeah, whether some interesting things I learned from it. What was the big takeaway? So yeah, I did a book review at a design meetup, and yeah. That was the first thing, and I don't know if I mentioned this to Jan. Jan basically fully motivated the entire me speaking ever. I don't know. Do you remember? Do you know that?
I do.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So.
I'm very proud of that.
Yeah. There you go. And what was your first talk?
I had been from my very early days be part of the PHP community, which I'm kind of loosely affiliated with still. But I was lucky that the first ever PHP conference was in Germany, so I could go there I was still going to school, not even university. So I got to know people who were on the conference speaking circuit. And then a couple of years later, I thought I want to be one of those people. So I found a local user group that friends of mine ran. So I knew it's a friendly environment. I proposed 2 talks, like a month in between them. And they took me. Like I said, smaller meetups are really starved for content. And the very first one was on a very obscure topic on how to do high availability web servers. Basically, if you have multiple servers that run Apache, how to make it that if one fails, the other one takes all the load. And there's a network routing tool called Whack-A-Mole that does IP failover, and it's really obscure, but it was part of a book that I had read at the time. And I just presented that with a live demo. I brought another computer with my laptop so I could show, okay, now I rip out the network, or shut down the computer, and the website's still working, kind of stuff. So that was really, really, really obscure, and I've never used this in practice ever. But that was my first ever talk. But then the other one I submitted was about CouchDB, which is an open source database that I've started working on that year in 2007, and I still work on it. So that kind of launched a bit of a career, and most of my talks I've done, I must have done over 100 now, were on Apache CouchDB. So I'm very grateful for that. The PHP user group in Dortmund, Germany.
After that first talk, I was really intimidated. I didn't want to get up in front of people who I thought were smarter than me and better than me and talk about stuff that they probably thought was super obvious. So my tactic was that I would give introductory level talks to not experts in that. So I would talk. I I would give design talks to JavaScript people and JavaScript talks to design people. You could also give, whatever your technology is, you could give an introductory talk to an introductory group. For example, in Berlin, we have a beginners user group that are they don't really know what they would like to specialize in. They're just learning. So I find like giving introductory talks to people who are even newer than you or even like peers to you is a really good way to start. And then you'll slowly realize that, eventually you start to realize that once you talk on something, that makes you kind of the expert at it, and other people don't really know it as nuanced as you do. So.
And if you ever it's intimidating to talk in front of other people, but I read somewhere that, and it rang so true for me, so I'm repeating it. If people take the time to sit in an audience in front of a stage, then they want the person on stage to be successful. Like they're rooting for you. They want you to do a good thing. So they're actually on your side. And if you if you ever feel uncomfortable, think about that. Like they wanna see me succeed, then that helps a whole lot.
It's not a thesis defense.
Yeah.
It's not. You're not defending your life's work here.
I find it helpful to think of it as a show and tell.
Yeah.
I just want to show you what I know, and here it is, right? It's not necessarily like, I am the expert and you all should listen to me. It's not like that.
Yeah.
I had so after I did the first 2 talks, I was invited to give a talk in Switzerland, which was my first talk in English, and they even paid for the travel, which was really, really nice. And then I got questions at the end, and they were nice questions, but they're like, the nerdy type, slightly heckling kind of, and I think as a beginning speaker, you're always afraid of the hecklers. So if someone interrupts your talk, I think my advice there is just be very assertive, like questions at the end, and if they persist, this is my show, shut up, right? And then they can talk in the end. And then if there's questions at the end, the person who asked the hardest question turned later after the talk turned out to be the inventor of the programming language brainfuck, which is kind of the hardest thing you can do in programming. And he's a very, very smart person, and it's like there's no way in hell that I could win an argument with him, right? But he was gentle enough still so that he didn't make me look bad. So.
Further to it not being a thesis defense, if someone asks you a question you don't know the answer to, just say, I don't know.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. Does anybody else here know?
Right. And that's like diffused anyone.
Talk to them.
Yeah, that diffuses anyone who's kind of trying to get at you.
Yeah.
I like to take a buddy. Like, I always worry about that. So my talk last week, I was like, I'm just like, what if someone starts telling me what I should do better? And my friend was like, I'm going to come with you, and if anyone does that, I'm going to deal with it. And I'm like, cool.
Nice.
We decided to cancel question period at JSConf.
Oh, yeah.
There are no questions after the talks, except in person. Go find the person and talk to them. Because, it's not a thesis defense. Usually people's questions are like them showing off, and when it's not, it's usually not of interest.
To the general, to the other ones, so we don't have everyone sit through like.
And the person prepared a talk and told you what they thought was relevant, and anything else that's not kind of nitpicking. So, sure, go talk about it, but talk about it in one of the many socializing areas.
Right. Plus, if it's an event that does Q&A, you can also, as a speaker, just say, I don't do Q&A. Speak to me in the hallway or whatever.
Yeah.
But what Kate said, bringing a friend is also a really good idea, especially if you're going for the first time. Just to have someone to huddle together with afterwards, or before, is really, really helpful. I didn't do that the first few times. That wasn't a good experience.
And don't feel like pressure to do Q&A just because you have time left over.
Yeah.
Like, you can let people go early. It's fine.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's like, we have 5 minutes left, so let's just get a head start on the coffee break.
Yes.
And
exactly.
people like it. And
people love you for this. Yeah.
Yeah, you don't have to fill up the whole time. So don't feel pressured just because you have some time left at the end to take questions.
Especially if you're the slot before lunch, plan to leave to let them go early.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're out of questions. So let's end on a happy note. I'm going to ask you one last question, and that is, what Don't look so scared. You guys know I'm lovely. Tiffany doesn't believe me. I'll see you in 2 weeks. I'll show you how lovely I am. So, what talks have you seen at other conferences and you were like, damn, I wish we'd got that at JSConf?
JSConf has some pretty good talks. I don't know. Let me think.
We were at a conference called FunConf, and Derek Sivers gave a talk that was half audience like engagement.
Yeah, he kept moving around the room and making us hum, and
it was like half like Asian philosophy, half technology, half like
storytelling.
And he's a fantastic speaker. He's amazing. And I think he only did that like twice, and there's like one audio recording of it.
Except my secret audio recording.
Oh.
It's only part of the talk, though. I didn't think to record it right away.
Damn it.
No, that was really good, yeah.
I've seen Lawrence Lessig speak once. He's a fairly famous lawyer type person that does open source stuff. Or did. He is like a virtuoso. He's like, for every minute he speaks, he has like 25 slides, and they're timed perfectly, and they're funny and witty, and there's animations and videos, and like even if he like speaks out a metaphor in the beginning of a sentence, so it's like 3 pictures depicting the metaphor that you can grab. It's like an immersive experience. He's incredible, but like don't measure it. Like you'll never be him. Like it's impossible. It's a pleasure to see.
Yeah.
What else?
There's some really polished talks by people who are professional speakers that I've seen at especially like a UX conferences and things. I feel like we don't have that kind of roster in the JavaScript community. I'm not sure. I'm not sure why that is.
Well, but these people tend to, like, I have a talk and I'll be touring 2 years giving that talk, and they make their money that way.
Yeah.
This is just by the nature of that. If they do it with us for the first time, that's fine, but they also often think, okay, please don't publish my video so I can give the talk a few more times and make money of it. So that's just not the model that we're working with.
Yeah, and so I've never regretted that we don't have that level of thing, because what we want is more I don't want to use the word grassroots, but
gritty.
Yeah, more gritty. Yeah.
Like bring your guitar. That's fine.
Yes.
Like well.
Yeah.
The other one was just the other weekend. My good friend Lena gave a fantastic talk about diversity in technology. The talk is called "The Talk About Nothing," and it talks about all the hidden biases we have that we don't see that have a lot of impact. But she introduces that with like how nothing is really important in physics, and how the universe works, and how computers work, like with the zeros, and makes a really compelling argument for all the systemic stuff that we have to deal with. And that was like we later talked about it with friends, and like she could have talked about this at the UN. It was perfectly delivered. Like I was really happy with that. So the video is coming out in 2 weeks. You should watch it. A Talk About Nothing by Lena Reinhardt.
I'm really looking forward to seeing it. So I expect it will end up in Technically Speaking. All right. Well, so I think it's time for us to wrap up. Thank you so much for joining us.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers. Kate, we'll see you. And Chiyuki, we've never met in person. We need to fix that.
Yeah, well, send me your conference schedule.
All right, I'm stopping the broadcast. Thanks, everyone, for joining.
Bye.